Hi there. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dan Smith. For those of you who haven't met me, I'm ENZ's Agent Manager based in Wellington, New Zealand. And unfortunately, I can't be with you in person today, but I'm really happy that I am able to provide to you an update on some of the things we are doing in the agent space from Wellington, and to give a bit more of an overview today on the Recognised Agency Program, some of the things we're doing in Agent Lab, and also some work we're doing in the student wellbeing space. So just to move to a quick overview of the Recognised Agency Program, many of you will have quite a good understanding of the background to the program. This is, in effect, the second edition of the program, and the third attempt, really, for ENZ to try and put together a recognised agency program or scheme that benefits agents, providers and students and New Zealand generally. So we did go through quite a long period of review before the program in its current form was put together. And this did lead to some of the decisions that were made in the build up to the launch of the program on the 1st of November last year. Obviously, you in the room are the first batch of recognised agents under this new program. And you will also be aware that there is there's an ongoing review period on an annual basis in which we will look to assess all agents to make sure that they are still providing a contribution to Education New Zealand. So there's a program in which there will always be quite a bit of ongoing work to make sure that the program is doing its best to deliver quality outcomes for students, to best support the recognised agencies within the scheme, and to ensure there is some alignment between what the industry is thinking generally and with the international education strategy more broadly. And really, in terms of the recognised agency program in its current edition, we are very much kind of in the initial stages in terms of working through some of the big picture stuff we wanted to put together, which I will talk a little bit about today. So I guess the first thing and the first observation around the program is that there was a real need to drive students to our Study in New Zealand website. There is a whole lot of information on that website that, of course, is very useful to students, but also that platform increasingly connects more broadly with our other technical platforms. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in detail further in the presentation, but it was important that the website was used as a base for students who want to use an agent or don't want to use an agent, or want to know about courses, or want to understand what scholarships are on offer. Driving people to the website was one of the goals we had in mind for the Recognised Agency Program. Of course, that was only one part of it. What we wanted to do in the agent space is to make sure that when they got to the website, that there was actually some useful information for them, or some information that they could put together that would allow them to make really good decisions about what kind of agents might be the ones they want to work with. So in terms of things we've added, as you will probably be aware, we did add a licensed immigration advisor logo to those agencies which have a licensed immigration advisor embedded within their agency. That's permanently embedded. That's to ensure that students who perhaps wanted to bring partners or family in or would have the opportunity to get advice from a licensed immigration advisor. The other thing, of course, we did is we added what sectors that the agents have some contacts in New Zealand in. So you can see there, for example, under Global Reach, it says ITPs, PTEs, and universities. So, of course, that was important for us as well to enhance the student experience because, some of the feedback was students would be choosing an agent that to study in a sector that they didn't really have much experience in sort of recruiting for. So we wanted to provide as much information as possible. So that was part of quite a big update that we put together in terms of the Recognised Agency Program. Further, we wanted to increase traffic to the Study in New Zealand website. And for the first time ever, we started to promote the Recognised Agency program on some of our platforms. So what you're looking at now is a blog that first appeared on our Study New Zealand website blog page around about 5 months ago. And it just goes on to talk about agents and why you should use an education agent, and then secondly, why you should use Education New Zealand recognised agent. So just to start to drive people to the website. We also profiled as a first in Indian agent, of course, Liz, who I assume is in the room now. Hi, Liz. So Liz was our first profile on the Study New Zealand Facebook page. Now, this is a page that has around 1 million views, 1 million people who follow. So it actually is a page in which we do get a lot of traffic through. Never before on that page have we promoted agents or the recognised agency programs. So part of our ongoing work here is to get students to who are interested to read and learn more about the program and to understand more about the recognised agency program and why it's a good idea to use a recognised agent. So just as a guide on the reach of this platform, this post, we promoted it, and it, in terms of a pure data record, in terms of people who have interacted with this post in one form or another, so read it or seen it in their Facebook feed, we're up to 60,000. So 60,479 people as of this week have interacted or seen this post in one form or another, which we were really happy with as a first step. And then you can see down the bottom, 8.5 thousand people have interacted with this post in one way or another, in terms of providing some sort of thoughts or an emotional response to it, and 10 people have shared it. So it actually has been distributed really widely, which is really positive. We will be doing more agent profiles because we started with India. It'll probably be a while before we come back to an Indian recognised agent, because obviously it's a global program. But just to let you know, we are working hard to try and drive people onto the platform. So the results of that have been really positive, and we've been really happy with what we've seen in terms of people interacting with just the recognised agency section on the website. So the data I have here was from 17th of March, which is a little over a month ago. So we will be around about 60,000 page views on the recognised agency section of the Study New Zealand website. So by the time we get to the end of the annual review period, 1st November 2018 to 1st November 2019, we are likely going to be at around about 120 to 130 page views, which we're really, really happy with. Of the page views we had for that time period, 7,874 students have clicked through to an agent website. So they've gone directly through to your website and interacted with that in one form or another. Now, I think what's relevant for you as well, in terms of all the countries we have there to search for an agent in, India is the most popular. So more Indian students are interacting with that page than any other nationality. So it is becoming a really useful tool to learn more about the program, but also a useful tool to promote our agents. And the average time on this part of the website is 1:49, which actually, if you think about how you kind of use websites in your own daily life, actually is quite good. It does mean that people are moving around and looking around the website rather than just clicking and moving it. So in terms of sort of what we would call sort of industry standards, getting up to 2 minutes on one individual web page is actually really, really great. So we're starting to get some positive outcomes and still more to come in that regard. In terms of the logo itself, so we do track from our brand lab how many times the logo has been downloaded. It's not the best, it's not the most precise sort of data tracker, because obviously once you download it once, you can share it around your agency. But we are starting to see some good downloads of the logo in its various forms, and also it seems very clear to us that the logo usage guidelines are being used and interacted with a lot. So that's really, really pleasing. Just a couple of things around it. I think that the first is that there are still some appearances of the old recognised agency logo on websites and on business cards and the like. We are really keen now, as we start to get some traction in this area, to start to limit that as much as possible, and on that basis do request that you do a review of your collateral on business cards and start to take the appropriate steps to remove the logo and replace it with this logo here, because collectively, it's better for all of you if all of you are using the logo appropriately. It does have the potential to dilute some of our messaging if there is more than one recognised agency logo. So this logo represents a new beginning, a new start for the program, and obviously really, really keen for you to use it all. And of course, I guess beyond that, there are things with the logo, that are implied if you use a logo, and of course, a lot of that is around conduct, your adherence to the London Statement, and your ability to provide sound and accurate advice to people who are interested in studying in New Zealand. So, the more everyone across the globe is doing good stuff with the logo and producing good outcomes with students for the logo, then the better the program becomes. So in terms of the reputation of the program, obviously some of that falls on us here at ENZ, but a lot of that falls on you as agents. And then just a quick update around the logo itself, or around the program itself. To date, in the first 6 months, we have undertaken two investigations of education agents who are part of the program, because there was some concerns around their behaviour and conduct. As a result of that, one of those agents has been exited from the program already, not an Indian agent, but one has been removed, and one has stayed after investigation. We found that the agent had not acted in a way that was inappropriate to the aims and goals of the program. So all that just to indicate we are, as I'm sure you'll be aware, we are taking that pretty seriously, and we are keeping an eye on how our agents operate as best we can, because it is really critical that we maintain the integrity of the logo, not just on the ENZ side, but for all their agents who are doing the right thing and doing good stuff. In terms of some of the initial forays we've had into involving recognised agents into our program, so we launched our Future-Proof campaign, or Future-Proof 2.0, in about mid last year. And one of the things we did with that program, which we've never done before, is create collateral and information specifically for recognised agents. So you can see on the right-hand side of the screen, what you had was an information sheet which had an outline and detail on how to use the Future-Proof campaign to promote New Zealand within your agency. As you can see on the bottom right-hand corner, the recognised agency logo was placed on that brochure just to outline that this is a product or a benefit exclusively available to our recognised agents. When we sent this out, we did ask for examples of how this was being used by agents, and some information on what you were doing with it. We did receive a few sort of responses, but unfortunately nothing from our Indian agents. So again, would be really, really great to see how you can involve yourself in some of our campaigns. You'll all be aware of you have access to as part of a suite of improvements we've tried to bring to the Recognised Agency program. The IntelliLab is something that you can all log into and engage with. We have a skills lab, a brand lab, and now an agent lab. It is around about, by the time you hear this, will probably be around about a month away. We will give access to recognised agencies before we open it up more broadly to agents, just to provide your feedback. And the screen you're looking at is just about the final, but probably not quite. So there is, obviously the latest news will not be Formula One Grand Prix news. We will try to bring something a little bit more relevant to you. But on the left-hand side, you can see some of the things we will be doing. So that, as well as the training courses, we'll bring you news, there'll be documents, webinar functionality, and key messages. You'll also have links to campaigns and other information, and latest news relevant to you will be there. So there's a couple of things about this that I'd first just want to raise. The first thing is that when you log in, and when you first register, the platform will take into account some of your preferences and what country you're based in, and the areas you work in. And the reason for that is because everyone's welcome homepage on the Agent Lab will be slightly different depending on where they're based and what they do. And the reason for that is we wanted to make sure that in a sort of world where you as agents get bombarded with information from all over the place around courses and countries and education, we wanted to provide things that were relevant to you. So, for example, in latest news, if you're based in India, you will see things that are relevant to you. An agent based in Japan or based in Germany might not see the same things. And the same applies for our documents, webinars, messages feed as well. You, as Indian agents, don't need to know about a fair coming up in Rio de Janeiro. So if you're an Indian agent, you won't get that information. So when we go to documents, there'll be documents there that are relevant to you. You won't have documents or information on our American interactions with agents because it's just not necessary on your part. So what we are trying to do is create a platform that's not just about training, but has news, resource, and information that you can use and interact with really regularly that'll assist you in promoting New Zealand. What this also does is allow us to engage with you really quickly and effectively as well. So, for example, post the Christchurch terrorist attacks, if we want to get information out to you straight away, we can very much do that, and we can tailor the information depending on the questions or the concerns based on the country you're in. Our messaging around the terrorist attacks might be different in India than they are in Malaysia, for example. And of course, however, there will be courses. This is a little demonstration of what this screen may look like. I think just a note around the courses, we're obviously very keen that the courses have good stuff in there for everyone. So everyone will learn from the courses, but of course, the Agent Lab is not just open to recognised agents, it's open to all agents. And of course, there is a massive variation in terms of understanding or knowledge about the New Zealand education system. So the courses are sort of tailored towards Education 101 and people who haven't had a whole lot of experience in promoting New Zealand and need a baseline knowledge. But we have added things like living, care and learning modules, which is, I hope, would give a really good flavour and oversight of some of the things that we're promoting in New Zealand and provide some different perspectives rather than just sort of the legal immigration-y type stuff on how New Zealand education is some of the best in the world and the qualities and the advantages of studying in New Zealand. So, and I understand from Tiffany there was some questions around the student experience, which is really great. Obviously, as I sort of referred to in the strategy, that is a really critical piece of work and a really focus for us. 2 or 3 years ago, we did map out the student experience and start to think about all the different aspects of the international student experience that form part of their well-being and the way they feel about studying New Zealand. And this goes beyond just studying itself, but talks more broadly around their access to resources, mental health, personal safety, employability, tourism, all the things that go towards making a great experience. And you probably can't see it, it might be a bit small, but agents is in there in the light green box. So obviously, when the work we're doing with agents, some of that does focus on enhancing the student experience. Just a couple of examples of this, of some new products that we have out. The first is Tohu. So we have a chatbot now on our Study New Zealand website. We're the first government agency to do this in the world, we think, around international education. And this is a tool you can use to get questions around, to answer questions around New Zealand. But also it might be something you would want to think about showing to prospective students around some of the work we're doing to try and make sure we wrap around them as much as possible in terms of them having a great experience. So Tohu can be found on Study in New Zealand, as I said. Tohu's aim is to help provide a friendly, helpful and trustworthy 24-hour service for answering prospective international students and parents' questions around studying in New Zealand. Eventually this Tohu will be used to also answer some of the questions we get on our Facebook page. But as I said, it is available. It is still learning. It is still very much in initial stages of being a really full product. But you're welcome to go on and ask some questions, have a play with it, and just sort of get a direction on some of the things we're looking at. The other thing we have coming out very shortly is Now My New Zealand. And the intent of Now My New Zealand is to provide support to international students when they're in New Zealand. So it's not just focused on the start of the journey, which is where obviously we would expect that agents do a lot of work. But what it is designed to do is to provide information to students as they go through their own unique journey after their arrival in New Zealand. So it's designed to give them information, during exam time or when they're looking for work or semester break. And the information is therefore curated to be provided to students only when they might need it and when it might